welcome into the Sideline Sports Show, episode number 14 here with Ben and Tim. Tim, how we doing this week, my friend?
Ben, I'm doing good. I'm going on a little camping trip this weekend with me and some of the boys, so it should be a fun weekend. Unfortunately, I'm going to be a little unplugged from sports this weekend, so I'm going to have to come back on Sunday. I'm probably going to get ping with everything I miss. So it should definitely be interesting, but I'm a little nervous about my Clemson Tigers tomorrow night, not going to lie.
Why are you worried, Tim? Well, why should you be worried?
What do you mean we haven't scored more than 19 points in regulation against an FBS team all year long? Why would I be worried,
Yeah, there's nothing to worry about, Tim. It'll be okay. It'll be perfectly fine. Everything's going to be all right, Tim. It's okay. Well, let's go ahead and talk about probably the biggest elephant in the room before we start picking games. Alabama, get it? The biggest elephant in the room. Alabama goes.
It just hit me now.
Alabama goes.
I was like, you going to talk about what happened with Jon Gruden? That's where I thought you were going with that.
No.
You were like, oh, all right, Alabama. That makes sense.
Yeah, get it? Elephant, roll tide. Yeah. All right. Anyway. Biggest elephant in the room, Alabama goes down this past weekend to Texas A&M in College Station. Probably one of the biggest upsets so far in college football this year. A lot of people really didn't expect this team to fall this early, especially due to a team like Texas A&M, who really struggled against Arkansas, never found its rhythm there, just really hasn't found its quarterback either until this past Saturday, where they hung with Alabama and beat them right there in the final seconds. So, Tim, do you think Coach Saban should have called that timeout? And there goes my camera again. I don't know why in the world it's doing this. Tim, do you think they should have called a timeout to stop the clock, or do you think it was the right thing to just call no timeout?
In that situation, I think probably more so a timeout. I mean, looking back on it, it's always kind of like hindsight 2020. So you'll second guess. But, I mean, whatever Nick Saban felt as though it was good for him to do, I trust Nick Saban. So, I mean, in that situation, you just got to kind of lean on the guy that has won 7 national titles, 6 at Alabama. So
right.
I lean on him. And if he felt that was the best call to make there, I'd leave that to him.
Yeah, I definitely there.
Oh, well, Ben's gone out. So, and Dr. Stevens, I see you. Seeing you two makes an old guy proud. It has been a minute since the North Greenville days, but it feels like yesterday. So, yes, and your Baylor Bears, they're surprising me a little bit to what they've done so far here in the young season. So, just kind of stalling here until Ben can get back, but definitely a lot of things to cover here on the show today once Ben gets back. But first of all, we got to talk baseball. Got to talk baseball. The MLB playoffs this week have been absolutely amazing. You start with the Braves. We'll start with the Braves because Ben and I are both Braves fans. Braves beat the Brewers in 4 games. Freddie Freeman with the go-ahead eventual game-winning home run off Josh Hader in the bottom of the 8th with 2 outs, man. Had that place chanting Freddie. It was electric atmosphere. Series that had great pitching, and it just seemed like they were played so fast, and they were very quick, very fast paced. And then kind of things in Game 4 kind of shifted a little bit on the Braves and the Brewers. Things kind of took a turn because it felt like the 4th and 5th innings of Game 4 kind of took probably an hour and a half to play. Just a totally different vibe from the previous 3 games. I saw something that was very interesting. Jock Peterson of the Braves had a stretch where I think he had 3 at bats. I think he had more RBIs than the rest of the Braves throughout the entire series. But that was coming into Game 4 there. So, and I think he definitely driven the Brewers, who had only scored 2 runs on 1 swing of the bat on a 2-run home run in game number 1. So it was definitely a fun series. And then you switch to the AL because I want to get to the Dodgers and Giants last because save the best for last in that one. That one's going to be a fun Game 5 tonight. But the Red Sox, who did not look great in Game 1, jumped a little early, but then just got taken to soundly in Game 1 against Tampa, were able to come back and steal one in game 2. And then things shifted to Boston. And just it was 2 phenomenal games that the Red Sox ended up walking off both of them. Shout out to our P1 listener, Hunter Miller. I don't know if he's watching right now. Probably sick because he's a big Rays fan. I wanted to ask his thoughts, but I don't know if he's here today. But the Rays overall, they're going to be in good hands. As we welcome back Ben. There
Thank
we go.
you.
Sorry, I was just talking about playoffs. I already talked about the Braves. We'll talk. I'll get your thoughts tonight here.
Oh yeah.
Bit. But the Red Sox and the Tampa Bay Rays. That was a fun series, even though it only went 4. It was so entertaining. Game number 3 in Fenway. What was that? 14 innings. It was.
Yeah, it was 13.
Walk-off home run.
Yeah,
and then game 4 ended with a Red Sox, another walk-off by the Red Sox. This time a sac fly in the bottom of the 9th. And then the kind of in my opinion, the most boring of the 4 series we have going on right now, or had going on, was the Astros and the White Sox.
Yeah.
White Sox showed life in game 3, but didn't exactly amount to anything as they were demolished in game 4, 10-1. Kind of reminded me when the Cardinals took it to the Braves in game 5 in 2019. So I won't say any more on that because we both have nightmares about that one. But overall it's been a fun playoff so far, man. And again, say the best for last, man. Game 5 tonight between the Giants and the Dodgers. I'm looking forward to that. Dodgers announced, everybody thought they were going with Julio Urias, a 20-game winner this year. He's not going tonight. I think they announced it, and it slipped my mind who the pitcher was. But I don't know if they're setting him up to try to save Julio Urias. I think I got saying that name right.
Yeah, you're saying it right.
To come in maybe 4th or 5th inning and kind of take it from there.
Yeah.
Remember, in Game 7 of the NLCS last year, he pitched the final 3 innings and shut down the Braves in that 4-3 win that they had in Game 7 last year. So he's very capable of coming in and doing that. So I think, man, if you love baseball, if you love sports, to be honest with you, tune into tonight's game. The Giants, the Dodgers, a rivalry, man. Everyone was hoping this series would go 5. Yeah. And we have the chance we've got the chance to see Game 5 tonight. Both teams going at it with their seasons on the lines tonight. It's going to be fun. It's going to be magical, man. Oracle Park in San Francisco, man. I'd love to. That's one of those games. There's not many games been where I wouldn't mind sitting in the upper deck. This one I'd make an exception because I just want to be there and I want to be in that ballpark to feel that because Dodgers fans are going to show up. Yeah, they're going to. They show. I mean, I remember going to a Dodgers game here in Atlanta so many years ago. Those fans showed out, man. Yeah, they travel. It's going to be fun. And then these two teams don't like each other either, so it's going to be a fun one tonight. I'm just hoping we get a really good game. We get a nail biter, and I want the Giants to win for the Braves' sake because I feel like that'd be a better matchup. Not so much for the fact other than the fact that the Braves can't win in LA for some reason. Yeah. But I also kind of want the Dodgers to win because that may set me up to actually potentially get tickets. So if it's during the week, it make it a little bit harder. But Sunday night, I might be able to do it. So I'm kind of conflicted here because I know it's a better matchup for the Braves to play San Francisco. But if they play the Dodgers, I guess we'll take it. Either way, it's going to be tough though for Atlanta. So again, sit back. I'm really looking forward to tonight's game.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know you recapped this a little bit, so I'll make it short and sweet. Starting off, just like you said, the Dodgers-Giants tonight. The huge series that has gone on all the way into Game 5, like I mentioned last week in my predictions. Hopefully San Francisco can pull it out because I think the Braves stand a better chance against them than the Dodgers. It just feels like the Dodgers are the Braves' kryptonite, like it is. And they haven't really seemed to get around them in big games. And I think especially in LA. So I think that's going to be a key thing to look at moving forward. Like you mentioned, the Astros series was really not that great. They had really big wins, 6-1, 9-4. They lost 6-12, and then they came back and won 10-1 to end that series. And it just really wasn't interesting. The surpriser, the Red Sox, no one really even thought they would beat the Rays because the Rays, like you mentioned, were a 100-plus win team coming into this postseason. And really the two things where they walked off twice in a row at Fenway Park. And it was Vasquez's homer in the 13th, like you mentioned, and then Hernandez sac fly the other night to score Santana. So that was a huge thing for the Red Sox. And then for the Braves, you look Freddie Freeman's homer, I mean, that kid looked like he was the happiest he's ever been in Atlanta. I think that's probably been the storyline of everybody. It's like sign this man to a lifelong contract where he stays in Atlanta forever until he decides he wants to pass away and, go to be with Jesus. But until that time, just sign the man that long of a contract. Like, exactly like what Chipper Jones did back in the day. Everybody was like, oh, sign that man to a lifelong contract. That's what I think the Braves will do this offseason, especially after that home run the other night, because I think it's just like you said, it's probably the best moment he's had in his career. But I think the one thing that kind of goes unnoticed was everybody was worried about this pitching staff going in because they were going to face a really tough Brewers pitching staff as well. And the Braves went in, they handled their business. They faced adversity with Soler going out, who may even miss the NLCS. So that's huge for them. Morton, Freed, and Anderson were terrific. I think the bullpen came out and pitched very well between, especially with Luke Jackson, Tyler Matzik, and the other AJ Minter. They pitched phenomenally in Game 4.
Will Smith was not bad. I don't think
Will Smith was not bad either. Yeah, he had one hit that kind of got me a little bit worried because it was no outs. That was the first hit of the to start the ninth inning, and you're just like, oh, here we go again. And then finally got 3 straight outs in a row. I think the first one was a pop fly in the infield. The other 2 were strikeouts. So really dominant performance from that bullpen in Game 4, and that's what you really need going forward here in the second half, especially in the postseason. That's what you need to look for if you're the Braves.
For sure. Now, I kind of want to switch things to the American League. We get the ALCS tomorrow night.
Yeah.
Red Sox and Astros. It's kind of Alex Cora, his former team, where I think he was the bench coach, and kind of had that scandal, all that going back and forth, and now he's the manager of the Red Sox. A little bit of interesting storyline there. I mean, who do you think has the more favorable matchup in this one? Do you think the Astros or do you think the Red Sox? Now, the Astros do have home field advantage.
Somebody's going to bring a trash can for this one. I feel it. I feel it in my soul where somebody brings a trash can. They start beating on it, and next thing you know, signs are going to be given. Signs will be given. And I'm just kidding. But
I mean, you would expect Fenway to do that.
Yeah.
Fortunately for the Astros, they won't have to deal with that until Game 3. But still, that would be fun, and you would hope that would happen. But I mean, more so focusing on the game. This could be these two championship series in the AL and NL, whether it's the Giants or the Dodgers going against the Braves. People don't realize, the Braves had the fewest wins coming in the regular season.
Yeah,
but they had to deal with so many injuries. They didn't have d'Arnaud. Ozuna went out with a broken finger, I think it was, and then he had all that stuff going on with domestic violence suit. Who knows if he even will be back in a Braves uniform? You had I think they used 7 catchers this year.
Yeah,
I mean they used so many different guys. So many guys got hurt. I think when Ronald Acuna went out, they were still below 500.
They were
just before the All-Star game. So this team's faced a lot of adversity to get to this point, and the fact they were able to piece this thing together and go out at the trade deadline, and Alex Anthopoulos doing what he did, man, credit to them for not giving up and to going out making moves and saying, you know what, we're not just going to throw this year away. We're going to go for it. We have a chance here. So
yeah,
they kind of were piecing things together. So this Braves team now is legit. This is a really good team. This is a team that is a mid-90 win team currently structured. Yeah. So don't let it fool you. So I think the matchup between the Braves versus either San Francisco or LA is going to be a fun one. And then matchup in the AL, the Astros and the Red Sox, man. Buckle in. I think this series is going 6 or 7 games. Yeah. I think we're going to have a fun series. I think these teams are going back and forth, man. I mean, Red Sox started out the year really strong, kind of fell off a little bit second half, but kind of regained things towards the back half of the season and got past the Yankees in the wild card. Didn't look good in their first game against the Rays. Had 9 hits. Nobody came across the plate. So things weren't looking good for them, but they kind of seemed to shift things. They turned things around. They got the offense going late in game 2, and they kind of carried out the rest of the series. And I think the offense will carry itself from here on out. So I like the Red Sox in this matchup. I think it's a favorable one for them. And I think the Red Sox make their way to the World Series yet again, which it seems like every time they get to the playoffs, they make it to the World Series.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, I think it's just exactly like you said. I think what blew my mind was when I was watching the Braves play the Brewers and the commentators were saying, look at what the Braves have gone through. I mean, it's just like you mentioned. There were 8 different catchers this year. They've had 3 different looks in the outfield. They started, believe it or not, they started out with Ozuna, Pache, and Acuna. None of those guys except Pache were really on the roster for
And
the
he wasn't on
playoffs.
until Game 5
Yeah, and he wasn't
or
on
4.
until
Excuse me,
game 4. And so then you go with Heredia. I don't even know the rest of them, honestly. Heredia was out there.
Yeah, you eventually you got Jock, you got Soler, you
Yeah.
got Duvall. I mean,
That's the third
those
look.
guys were all trades
Yeah.
that kind of came in. I mean, so these guys, this is a piece it together outfield that the Braves have.
Yeah.
Everyone got hurt seemingly in their starting lineup from opening day. So, and hopefully this will kind of set things up for next year as well.
Yeah.
With Acuna hopefully coming back, I don't know if he's going to be ready by spring training or not.
I think he'll probably come back maybe a little bit almost halfway into the season, maybe. Just
we'll be
because
lucky to
that's
get
where it
Soroka
was.
back.
Yeah.
We'll be lucky to get him back. I mean, it's interesting because this team kind of sets up for next year. I mean, do you keep Soler? I don't think Jock Peterson's going to stay. I don't think you retain him. I think there's a chance you could retain Duvall and Soler and have him play with Acuna. But I mean, the thing is also, what do you do with your top prospect in Christian Pache? I mean, what do you do with that?
Archer Waters, who's sitting down there too.
Waters, you got him down there in AAA, excuse me. And there's a lot of questions we answer there, but we'll kind of answer those when we get closer towards spring training.
Yeah,
so
absolutely. And we, like I mentioned, I think these 2 matchups, no one really looked at. But what stands out to me is now these 2 teams that were the underdogs coming in, which were the Red Sox and were the Braves, are now kind of like got this little chip on their shoulder, have a little bit of swagger going in to this next series between the Astros for the Red Sox and then either the Dodgers or the Giants or the Braves. They get to carry a little bit of that swagger because now the Braves, they got a little bit longer rest than these Dodgers or the Giants because they're going to start game 1 on Saturday regardless of who wins, who loses this game. So they're going to have a little bit more rest. They're going to have a little bit more time to study, do a little bit of film, do some other things as well. And it's going to be a really interesting series between these two just to see how that plays out. All right, when we come back, we'll do some college pick 'em. And you know what? I knew you probably mentioned this because I think I heard you mention this. But our good friend Dr. Stevens, man, look at this. Just great seeing you two, Doc. Sick 'em Bears. And we'll talk about the Bears on the other side when we do our college pick 'em. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back.
Welcome back into the Sideline Sports Show on this Thursday, October 14th. Man, Ben, interesting that we got a little college football this weekend. We even have some games, some pretty decent games on Friday night. We got a couple actually on Thursday, but I want to go back to Tuesday.
Okay.
Louisiana, Appalachian State.
This is crazy.
This could have been a really good game. I remember seeing it's like, oh, this will be fun. Louisiana runs away with it. I mean, they went raging all night as they won 41-13 over App State. I mean, I didn't see that coming. I mean, could you have possibly saw that coming?
No, I definitely didn't. When I was sitting at home, I think we were watching my wife loves Dancing with the Stars, so that's what we're hooked on Tuesday nights right now. Mm-hmm. So that's what we've been watching, and I see Twitter start blowing up, and I'm like, what's going on? And then I'm like, hey, can I turn the channel for a second while it's on commercial? And she was like, sure. And I see the score of this game, and I'm like, what in the world is happening to App State? Like, what is this? Like, this is literally craziness. It's fun belt and the Sun Belt. That's exactly what it is.
Oh, good
The
old
Fun
Fun Belt.
Belt, yeah, the good old Fun Belt. And so, literally, no one expected this. No one saw this coming. And I mean, Louisiana Lafayette looks like they were favored going into Texas by like I think it was like 2.5 or something at the beginning of the season, and then now they just kind of no one's cared about them since then, and now they go in and say, hey, we're still legit. Go in and beat App State. So great win for them. Great win for the Raging Cajuns. So I think that's an exclamation mark win for them on their season because no one probably thought, yeah, this App State's probably won the conference for the past like 5-6 years, kind of like Clemson. And now it's like, nah, we're not going to let y'all win. So great job, great win by them at home. If I'm correct, it was at home. Yeah.
At home, yeah. It definitely was a good win. And then we've got some interesting ones on Friday night. I mean, I'll get to the one that I want to talk about for a second, but California and Oregon. Oregon number 9 coming off their very disappointing upset loss to Stanford the other week. What do you make of the Ducks, man? Great start to the season, primed to make the college football playoff for the first time since its first year in 2014 with Marcus Mariota. And they kind of slipped back. I mean, they're at the 9th spot, and a lot of things have happened. I mean, shoot, Alabama's lost. I mean, Ohio State lost to Oregon. There's been a lot of teams that have just kind of gone down. Oregon is a 13.5-point favorite in this one. So it should be interesting. I mean, they should roll this one. California just 1-4 on the year. They did lose their starting running back, Verdell, to an injury. So keep an eye on that one. But I believe it won't be much of a problem in this one. And I say the Ducks roll over the Bears.
I agree. Even though they had that little, I guess, like roadblock, I would say. They had a little bit of a roadblock between Stanford, and it wasn't really expected. But that is a huge rivalry for Stanford, as a lot of people don't know. That's a huge Pac-12 rivalry. So it wasn't anything that was like Stanford's not that good. And Stanford, they're still kind of struggling. They're still trying to find their identity. But they went in and beat Oregon. And I think that's probably the key win for them on the season. I think Oregon rebounds. Cal's really not that good. They're down this year. And honestly, I just don't see them pulling out this win against Oregon. I think Oregon's going to be a little bit too big of a tough of a match. Even though Oregon has a lot of people down, like you said, I still think Oregon is too much for these Bears.
Agreed, for sure. Now, another one at 7 o'clock on ESPN. Clemson is a 13.5-point favorite on the Orange of Syracuse. Now, what did I tell you 2 weeks ago when we played Boston College?
No.
You remember what I told you?
I'm not even worried about that, but go ahead.
But I'm just saying, do you remember what I told you? I said if Clemson wins, I'm picking against them the rest of the season. And they won. So give me the Orange.
You know what, Tim? Here's what I have to say. And a lot of Clemson fans will be mad. You remember the last time you went up to Syracuse, New York on a Friday night? Yeah.
Arguably a better offense than what we have now.
That's true. True.
Can't believe I'm saying that because that offense was bad back then. But I mean, when you can't even score 20 points against Georgia Tech, NC State, I know you scored 21, but in regulation.
Yeah.
You can't score more than 20 points against those teams. Even Boston College, which, I mean, you watch that game, the offense had chance after chance to get in the end zone and only got in once, and that was thanks to a long run by Kobe Pace.
Yeah.
This offense, man, it's just so bad. It's so bad. It's atrocious, man. And I'm just like, I understand people are applauding DJ for being out there at midnight of the game last time, and I'm like, that's what he needs to be doing because he needs all the practice he can possibly get. Okay, and his receivers should be out there with him. I hope all of them were out there because they're not getting separation either. The offensive line is blocked. They did a better job against Boston College. I'll give them that.
Yeah.
But I mean, overall, they still need to be better. They need to be better. The receivers, everybody's like, oh, Clemson's always got tall receivers. Great, but where's our Amari Rogers? Where's our Hunter Renfrow? Where's that slot guy? And it's like, I'm sorry, but Justin Ross is not that guy. I don't see him as that kind of slot guy right now, especially with the fact of the matter of DJ can't hit a long ball to save his life. I remember, I think it was the matter Tim Hasselback talking about on the broadcast against Boston College. DJ threw a long ball. Fortunately, we got a pass interference call on it. but he kind of summed it up great. He said, if that's a grenade, nobody dies. Nobody dies.
Yeah.
That's how bad that's how bad the pass was. It was so far overthrown. Yes, he's got a big arm, and he wants to be able to showcase that. But until you are able to hit those throws in the middle of the field, down in distance, this offense is going to struggle. I mean, they did a much better job of running the football. That's the reason why they won that game. They were able to run it and open up passing game enough for DJ to get over 200 yards by some miracle. First time all year he's gotten over 200 yards passing, which I was like, wow. So it is possible. It is possible. So it can be done. But I don't know. And Clemson's offense is just too simplistic right now. I mean, a lot of people are saying that. I mean, and that's not really expert commentary, but it's true. Clemson's offense is too elementary right now.
Here's the other side to that, Tim, is that you look at Syracuse coming into this game. They beat Liberty. I mean, they literally beat Liberty. I mean, Liberty had to come. Yeah. And I mean, they led majority of that game, and the Liberty Flames had to come back and try to win that one. So for me, I'm just like, look, Clemson, I love your defense. They have a lot of guys out on defense due to injury right now. And this is not saying like I expect Clemson to win. I expect Syracuse to go in there and actually win this game at least by 7. I really do. And that is a statement and a half. I would have never said that at the beginning of this year. I probably would have laughed at you if I made that statement. So, I mean, granted, but that's where college football's at right now. So, that's just where it's at. So, before we get into these big games, all right, Tim, before we get into these big games, we got to mention something. Our great friends, our picks of the week. This is going to be our graphic for the picks of the week. Make sure you go visit our friends who sponsor Picks of the Week, section 103. You can use 10% off your first order using the code Sideline. So make sure to go visit them at section103.com. So, Tim, here are our picks of the week. There it is. Okay, so here we go. I got to figure it out. All right, here we go. To start, we got College Game Day, Kentucky at Georgia. Probably I see Georgia winning this one big. I love how Kentucky came out and played last week. I did not expect them to win that big over LSU, but it's just like you said a couple weeks ago, LSU is that bad. And so I got Georgia, but in a 21-point game.
You know, interesting. I don't know if JT Daniels is healthy enough to
that's true.
I don't know if he's out or not. But either way, honestly, with that Georgia team and that Georgia defense, Ben, I think either one of us could play quarterback and they would still win this game.
True.
I'm serious. I mean, they're fine on the defense. I mean, those guys are insane.
Yeah.
I mean, they're talking about how they wouldn't let, I think, some NFL teams score. I believe them. I mean, have you seen the Jacksonville Jaguars? I believe.
Have you seen the Falcons?
The Falcons. I mean, I think they can score them, but still, Georgia defense has been unbelievable. It's been unbelievable. And really, truly, their offense has kind of shown up when it's needed to. It hasn't really had to score many points. It's just had to score at all. Yeah. A little bit, just a little bit. That's all you had to do. And that's what they've done. I mean, again, you put Stetson Bennett back there, JT Daniels. It don't matter. Georgia rolls in this one. Where's this game? Is this in Athens?
It's in Athens. Yeah.
Oh, that's not even a question. Not even a question. Not even going to sweat it. Again, I'm rolling with my national championship prediction, which I still have it in there. I'm feeling great right now, man. My Georgia Bulldogs. You know, I may have had their path a little bit different, but I still had them winning the medal. So I'm holding on and I'm clinging to that. So
the only good thing I have in my prediction of that one is that I actually had them in the Final Four, and that's about the only good thing I got going for me on that one. All right, the next game, Oklahoma State at Texas. Don't forget, Oklahoma State did defeat the Baylor Bears a couple weeks ago in a close game. They took it all the way down to the wire, but then so did Texas last week in the Red River Shootout. I'm not even going to call it the Red River rivalry because it was really a shootout the whole game long. So who you got? It's at Texas. It's in Austin.
Yeah, there were a lot of things happening in that Red River shootout. There was a lot of things happening. Texas jumped out to a huge lead. I believe, what was it? 25?
It was 40-23 at one point.
Yeah, I know. And then I know it got like probably 28-10 or something like that. 27. I mean, it was a big league for the Longhorns, and they let it slip away. Caleb Williams for Oklahoma came in after Spencer Rattler was benched. So that's an interesting story we'll cover later.
Yeah, we'll get to that when we talk about Oklahoma.
But this is interesting for Texas, just because how do you come off of a big-time letdown like that? A game in which you put up points. I mean, you put up a lot of points and should have won. But unfortunately, you didn't. You blew it late. You allowed Caleb Williams to come in there and lead the Oklahoma Sooner offense. So it's a big time to see how he responds. Now, they do have going for them. They are at home. They're a 4-point favorite. This one's tricky, man. Oklahoma State times hasn't looked good this year. I mean, beginning of the year, only beat Missouri State by 7. Only beat Tulsa by 5. Oh, by the way, Tulsa lost to UC Davis, who's an FCS team.
Yeah.
So they barely beat Boise State, which that's not bad. That's obviously a quality opponent, even if it is at the Group of 5 level. And then once they started Big 12 play, they kind of ran ship a little bit. Number 25 Kansas, they beat by 11, and then as you mentioned, they took down Baylor last week, 24-14. Again, their key for them is that they've been scoring in the 20s. The highest they've gotten all season is 31 points. They cannot let Texas get above that 30-point threshold. They get out of it. They let Texas get a score more than that, they're going to be in trouble.
Yeah.
So the key for Oklahoma State is, can their defense keep up the good work and hold Texas down to only probably 25 to 28 points. If they can do that, they got a chance. If Texas kind of scores at will like they did last week against Oklahoma, this is going to get ugly and get ugly pretty fast.
Yeah, so. I agree. So you got Texas.
I haven't made my pick yet, actually.
Okay.
So I was gonna wait until after you kind of did your breakdown.
I'll say this: Oklahoma State, they just really, they didn't really shock me when they played Baylor. I mean, they were competitive, but they didn't move the ball down the field consistently like I thought they would. I don't know if that's because Baylor's defense is that good or is their offense really that bad. And I haven't quite figured them out yet. But the thing is Texas scored so many points last week and then just kind of died in the fourth quarter. I mean, they really did. They died in the fourth quarter and really couldn't get anything going. Then again, it's the Red River rivalry. A lot of tension, a lot of heat, a lot of momentum was going towards Oklahoma's way in the second half. But I think Texas is going to win this one. It just Texas looks like the stronger team. They're going to come out really ticked off about how they finished last week, and they want to win. They just showed that they want to win more, and I think they're going to beat Oklahoma State probably by 14.
Wow, 14 points. That's pretty big. But I think you're right. Ultimately, I don't think it's by 14, but I think it's more. I mean, it could be by double digits, around 10 points in that area. Definitely could see that happening. Again, going to depend on Oklahoma State's defense. But I just don't think they're going to be able to slow down Texas enough. I think Texas offense continues to roll, and I think Texas's defense will kind of bounce back from the performance they had last week. Again, didn't have a lot of film on Caleb Williams, so it kind of surprised them. They got Tua Tagovailoa.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is when Georgia prepared for Jalen Hurts, they got him and they shut him down, and then he came out at halftime, and all of a sudden Tua Tagovailoa was out there. And like, oh crap, we didn't prepare for this guy.
We don't even know who this dude is.
we got lit up in the second half. So that's basically, I think, what happened. They didn't have a lot of film guys. They didn't know exactly what the film said. So I think that kind of caught them off guard a little bit. So I think that they're not going to get any of that this week. I think they're going to have a good game plan going. Steve Sarkisian and company, I think they to take this one at home comfortably as well. So
okay, talk about two teams that need to rebound. Auburn at Arkansas. As you know, Auburn struggled. Actually, it really didn't struggle. I mean, they put more points than most teams have put on Georgia. But then you have Arkansas, who had a shootout with Ole Miss, and I don't know if they can score any more points because they scored so many points last week.
About Arkansas?
Yeah, go ahead.
What do you agree with this? Because I don't.
Okay.
What was that decision making at the end of the game when at 52-51, you just scored a touchdown?
You just
no
kicked
time on
the
the clock. You're on the road. I get it. You're on the road. But Kick the extra point, go to overtime, man.
I agree.
Kick the extra point, go to overtime. You have the momentum. You just scored with no time on the clock. You have all the momentum. I get going for the win, man. But it just and then the play just wasn't that good. It ended up being just kind of a lob to the end zone. I don't know. The way Arkansas ended that game last week, they were really kind of struggled for most of that game.
They did.
Ole Miss jumped out and just they couldn't stop them. Eventually, they were able to get some stops and were able to kind of put the offense together and they were able to score points as well. But they had a chance to tie that game, send that game in overtime, coming from behind, and you go for two. I'm like, if you're playing Alabama and you're playing someone like that, and you're like, you know what? I think it'd be better in our best interest that we go to overtime.
Right.
But you're playing Ole Miss. I understand you're at the road and you try to take the crowd out of it. It's going to be somewhat of a factor in overtime. I don't like the fact that I don't like the choice to go for two there.
I agree.
The broadcast was all for it. I was like, they said they loved it. I was like, I don't understand it. I didn't get it.
Yeah.
And of course, they didn't get the 2-point conversion either. So I was just like, That's kind of what you get. I mean, just you make that kind of boneheaded mistake. To me, that was boneheaded. The rest of the country may not think so. But in that type of situation, I'd have kicked the extra point. But again, as well we say, hindsight's 20/20. So.
Yeah, absolutely. In this game, honestly, I don't really know how to observe Auburn, especially after last week, because Georgia's defense is just that good. They really are.
It's tough to evaluate anybody off.
Yeah. And the other thing is like they struggled against Georgia State. But they came back and beat LSU, who in that game looked decent, but really we don't really know how it looks. But Arkansas has played those legitimate teams, and we've seen how they've looked. And you can go like, okay, well, Arkansas didn't score a single point on Georgia, but Auburn did. But then again, Auburn played at home. They had a little bit more of a home factor. But in this game,
you can't really evaluate stuff like that because you don't know about game plans and certain teams. So
exactly. So for me to base this off of, I say, let's look at this. Arkansas has played better opponents than Auburn has all year long. They've competed in those games more than Auburn has. So I'm going to give it to Arkansas.
Interesting. I mean, I do like Arkansas. I like the way that, again, their offense has been solid with the exception of the Georgia game.
That's true.
Obviously. So, again, it comes down to me. Arkansas's at home. 4.5 point favorite. Give me the Hogs, man. I think the simple fact of being at home, I think that if this was at Jordan Hare and Auburn, I would have a real tough time picking a winner here. But since it's in Fayetteville, give me the Hogs all day.
All right. This is in honor of Dr. Stevens, who was watching the show earlier. BYU at Baylor. Now, remember, BYU last week got stunned by Boise State at home, which made it even worse. And then you have Baylor. Their only loss so far on the year is to Oklahoma State. I'm still riding high on your Baylor Bears, Dr. Stevens, and give me them again against BYU at home. Tim, who you got?
I got Baylor as well. Again, talk about a roller coaster of emotions for BYU, man. You beat 3 Pac-12 teams.
Yeah, that's true.
And then you welcome Boise State, who, again, is a good opponent. Very good Group of 5 team who could very well be going to the Big 12 here in the next few years for sure. So, but, I mean, just kind of have that letdown. I mean, for what small playoff chances they had are gone now. So you go into Baylor and you knock off this Baylor Bear team, Baylor, who is a current 6-point favorite. So I think this could be a very good game. Again, I think this will be along the lines of 27-21, 27-24, something like that. But it's in Waco, Baylor's home team. Last year, where this didn't really matter so much because crowds were either limited or there were no fans at all. So, and really, the road team, it didn't matter who was at home, who was away. This year, it matters again. It matters again because there's a home field advantage, man. And again, that's why a lot of teams like Alabama going into A&M, that's what happens. You have a stadium that has 100,000 people in it. That's especially with a first year starting quarterback, that's going to affect things. And it did. And it happened. Alabama got upset on the road. If that's in Tuscaloosa, no way they lose that game. No way. So it's the simple fact of it being in Waco is why I think Baylor's going to win this game. Now, the bigger question to me is will BYU cover that 6-point spread for Baylor? I think they have a chance to. I think around that 6 point is kind of right at the marker. Like I said, 27-21 type of score. So I'm not a betting man, but I would kind of stay away from that one.
Gotcha. All right, Battle of the Coastal, Pitt at Virginia Tech. Look, Pitt's just dominant. They've been dominant ever since they lost that one game. I think it was to, if I'm correct, Western Michigan. After that, they've
of course,
been,
right?
Of course.
You beat Tennessee, who actually looks good now.
Surprisingly.
Yeah, surprisingly. And then you lose to Western Michigan. That's something Clemson did a decade ago. Like,
exactly.
What are y'all doing, man?
Who knows? And they don't have PJ Fleck either, so it's not like it's the PJ Fleck era of Western Michigan. It's now Western Michigan. So, but since then, they've been rolling. They haven't stopped. It's going to be tough, especially in that Virginia Tech environment, because if I'm correct, it is a night game. So give me
3:30.
Oh, 3:30. 3:30. Okay. Still, give me Pitt. I mean, I like Virginia Tech, but I don't think they can score as many points as Pitt can.
Right. And again, but this Virginia Tech team, again, an entrance never beat anybody. Right?
That's right.
An entrance never beat anybody. So while they do have Enter Sandman and a great intro song, Pitt with Kenny Pickett at quarterback, dude has over 1,700 yards passing, 19 touchdowns, just one pick. Just one. I mean, outstanding stuff from him. I mean, he's more than doubled his counterpart in Burmeister for Virginia Tech.
Yeah.
I mean, Virginia Tech, I mean, they're going to have to run the ball very effectively because Burmeister's not it. He's not that guy. I'll just be honest with you. He's not that guy. True. So you're going to have to run the ball very well. And that'll be kind of where it's won or lost for Virginia Tech because Pitt is going to put up points. Kenny Pickett and company are going to go down the field at will, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
So give me the Panthers in this one, and I think they win somewhere along the lines of I'll go big. I'll go 48-30.
Okay, mine was like 41-24. That was mine.
We're not too far off.
So we're not too far off. All right, this is a game I'm going to mention a little bit of drama just because. TCU at Oklahoma. Now, this plays a big deal right here to me because if you don't know, the media has obviously said there's been people saying Spencer Rattler's going to enter the transfer portal, already has. No confirmation on that. Oklahoma shut off their media because some student was looking through binoculars to see who was starting QB1. I mean, it's been crazy for Oklahoma this week, and especially after a win and you're still undefeated. It's still crazy. But you got to look at this TCU team. They've only lost close games. And they were to Texas, who almost beat Oklahoma, and SMU, who is a really good team. Solid ball team. And I just look at that and say, is there an upset brewing? I would love to say yes. And you know what? This is my upset pick of the week. Give me TCU over Oklahoma in a very, very close one.
I would agree with you if Spencer Rattler starts. If Caleb Williams is in there, I mean, dude, really good.
For me, that's one game. For me, that's one game. Now, if I see him play fantastic this week, then I'll be like, okay, this is a real deal Oklahoma team now. But I just don't know. Like, there's too many questions surrounding it. Was it just kind of like, hey, this is a rivalry game, we got to go out there and win it? Or is it more about, hey, we got to go out there and compete every single week? And that's what we're going to find out this week with all the drama that surrounded the program.
Yeah, it's definitely, if you're Oklahoma, you want to avoid a letdown. I mean, Williams came in his relief of Spencer Rattler threw for 212 yards, 2 touchdowns. And in the time in which he played, that's really good. But what they need the most, I mean, this is what helped them come back. Brooks, their running back, 25 carries, 217 yards, 2 tutties.
Yeah.
That right there is going to win you any ball game right there, especially when your quarterback throws for over 200 yards, 2 touchdowns, and you have a running back that goes for over 200 yards and 2 touchdowns. That's going to win you a lot of ball games.
Right.
Can they repeat that? Maybe not to that certain extent, but maybe like a $115 from Brooks on the ground. That's going to help Williams out, and his probably will most likely be his first start. Because let's face it, Rattler out there wasn't getting the job done. Nope, they needed a spark. They brought Williams in, and it worked. So again, that kid that you mentioned with that student using binoculars was actually saw Caleb Williams taking first-team reps. So I think that's true. That tells you all you need to know right there.
Yeah.
And the fact is, I don't think Spencer Rattler is transferred yet. He wasn't listed in the Oklahoma official student registry, I believe it was called. But that's kind of interesting because students had the option to opt out, and he opted out from the time he's been there. So that doesn't really give us any indication if he's entered the transfer portal.
Yeah.
So, but man, what a fall from grace that we've seen from Spencer Rattler. I remember being high on him. I believe last year or this year that to be a dark horse candidate for the Heisman. I think this year he was one of the favorites actually.
Yeah,
so it's been quite a fall from grace from Spencer Rattler. So the Caleb Williams era appears to be underway in Norman. So
you got Oklahoma.
I got Oklahoma winning. Okay. I do. I think they have a strong game. I think they'll be along the lines of 37-31, about the same score they had with Kansas State. So.
All right, real quick pick. This is the last one we got. Ole Miss at Tennessee. I don't know. I really don't. They've played Rocky Top over at Ole Miss all week long on social media that they've been posting to, I guess, help hype them up to get them ready for Tennessee. But if they can score the same amount of points they did last week, I think they can handle it. But also at the same time, Tennessee, they put up a lot of points over South Carolina. But then again, it is South Carolina. Hey, so give me – yeah, what's up?
I'm sorry. I was just going to say, get your popcorn ready.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right. It's 2 weeks in a row, Tim. All right.
Get your popcorn ready.
Ole Miss.
Good old Lane Kiffin.
Big in this game over at Rocky Top. That's my prediction.
Big? Ole Miss big over Tennessee.
Ole Miss big. And it's crazy because Vegas has picked them to Tennessee to win this game. So
really, that's surprising.
Yeah. If you look on the ESPN app, they have like a 55% chance to win. I'm like, wow. So
that's surprising. I mean, I know Tennessee's going with their checkerboard type stance.
Yeah,
but it's interesting to point out the last time they did that, they got smacked down by Georgia.
That's right.
48-10 or something absurd like that. So I don't think we're going to get that. Yeah. But I mean, if they look as good as they did last week, I know it was against South Carolina, but still they look good.
Yeah.
Even their loss to Pittsburgh, they still put up 34 points. So I think we could get another kind of shootout that we had last week between Ole Miss and Arkansas.
Yeah.
So along the lines of both teams could get to the 50-point mark. I think more realistically in the 40s, I think we could get like a 45-38, 45-42 type score. I'm really looking forward to this one. I wish I could watch it. I don't think I'll have signal, unfortunately, where I will be at.
Right.
But if I could, man, I definitely want to check the stats out for this game. I think there's going to be a ton of them. I really do think. I mean, again, Tennessee's defense had a good showing last week, but I think more of that is the South Carolina offense that's still trying to find their way under first-year head coach Shane Beamer. So I think the defense is going to kind of revert back to what it's been in the previous weeks, and I think we're going to get an absolute shootout there in Knoxville. So I think it's going to be a fun game. If you get a chance, tune into that one just to see, especially if you love high-flying offense. Now, if you like the ways of the good old-fashioned defense, turn this one off. You don't want to watch. I'll just be honest with you. This is going to be hurt your eyes because there's going to be a lot of points scored in this one, I believe.
All right, so who you got?
I'm going Tennessee. Give me Tennessee.
Oh, wow.
Give me Tennessee. I'm going with the Football Power Index for ESPN, which kind of scares me a little bit, not going to lie. but I'm going with it. I think Tennessee does it. I've been impressed with what I've seen from the Volunteers. Now, again, with that, they may go out and lay an egg. And by that I mean literally lay an egg with on the scoreboard and not score. So I don't know, but I really have faith in Tennessee, which I didn't think I'd say coming into this year after everything, all the crap that they've gone through. But I like Tennessee. Give me the Volunteers in this one in their checkerboard game.
All right, we're going to take a short break. When we come back, we're going to be talking a little bit about NASCAR, USA men's soccer, and shortly on the Jon Gruden situation. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back. All right, welcome back into the final segment of the Sideline Sports Show. All right, so this is interesting. My dad walked up to me and said, Benjamin, y'all don't talk enough about NASCAR on your show. I said, you know what? We'll talk about it because right now it's a little bit interesting. So there's two people by the name of Chase Elliott and Kevin Harvick. Let's go back a couple weeks. 2 weeks ago, they were racing at Bristol, and Kevin Harvick on lap 467 decides, you know what, I'm going to scoot up on Chase Elliott a little bit, rubs his tire, cuts it flat. Elliott goes to pit road. He gets lapped down, comes back
Just
out.
give him a little boot scoot boogie, you know?
Yeah. So he'll come back. Elliott comes back out after he changes his tires. He'll go out, and next thing you know, he decides to park himself right in front of Kevin Harvick the rest of this race, allowing his teammate, Kyle Larson, to come by past Kevin Harvick for the win and get the win. Obviously, Harvick's ticked off. I would be ticked off too if you just sat there in front of me. So understood why Kevin Harvick was mad, but he kind of started the feud. Then post race kind of happens. They're pointing fingers. You saw the graphic that we posted up today. Chase Elliott has his finger pointing in his face. It's like, this is all your fault. They went back to the trailers, had a couple of conversations too. And then this Sunday, this is where it gets interesting. Lap 55, Harvick decides, you know what? I'm going to get my revenge. Basically, bumps Elliott into the wall. Now, granted, the reason why it's bigger now is because this is the playoffs. If Elliott wrecks in this race, he's out. He's done. There's just no chance he can come back and make it into the next round of the playoffs. So he gets back. He's like, man, his whole rear end is just chewed off, basically, from where Harvick spun him into the wall.
Mm-hmm.
And then 11 laps or they fix it up, send him back out there. 11 laps to go in this race. I mean, he charges his way all the way back to where Harvick is. I think Harvick in this position was in like 12th, I think. And he comes all the way back from like 20-something, maybe even a lap down, comes back, finally on the lead lap, trying to get – they're both in the top 15 at this point. And his spotter basically tells Kevin Harvick, hey, the 9 has come back and he's right behind you. And they head into turn 1 at the Roval. And if you've never seen the Roval, turn 1 is deadly into this Roval. And he enters this turn. He's looking back, and then he's like, crap, I didn't hit the brakes quick enough, locks up the front tire, slams right into the wall. And that ends his playoff chances to get into the next round. And Chase Elliott advances. But then when you think it's all over, Kevin Harvick got his payback, and Chase got his too. You think it's over until this man, Chase Elliott, was asked about it after the fact. And he says, well, I hope he has a happy Christmas and a merry off season, and then walks away from the media. Question remains now, is this rivalry over, or do you think Kevin Harvick will get more revenge on Chase Elliott as this playoff continues? Because he has nothing to lose at this point. Chase Elliott has everything to lose at this point. Do you think this rivalry ends here, Tim, or do you think it keeps going? Because look, this is NASCAR.
No. I mean, dude, I'm with the guy. Like, I mean, shoot, if I have a chance to that guy knock me out, and that guy right there was the reason why I wasn't able to in the playoffs, like, screw it, man. I mean, look, that's me though, and that's easier to say in my position here at my house. So I mean, I wouldn't be like, you know what? All right, Jack Leg, come on, I'm gonna rain you right into the wall.
Hey, but I will say, Chase Elliott did not wreck him when he went into the wall. So Chase Elliott never touched him going back into the wall.
But
granted,
the psychological factor, he might as well be blamed. You know what? I got to blame somebody. I'm blaming you. I'm coming for you. The Dale Earnhardt, man. That was
the Intimidator.
The Dale Earnhardt Sr., when he used to do stuff like that, And that's good for NASCAR. Rivalries like that, you want that. That's why I feel like too many of these sports don't create enough storylines. Yeah. Golf's trying to do it with some of their guys. I know Bryson DeChambeau was wrapped up with a golfer a couple months ago. I forget who that was, but that was an interesting little feud that they had. But baseball, everybody kind of gets punished heavily for fighting. I'm like, guys,
Yeah.
I know you want the product on the field to be the end all be all, but at the same time, it's good to have some rivalry,
That's
some
right.
banter back and forth, And if there's a little fight or two, so what? It ain't gonna hurt nobody. And
Yeah, that's true.
unless you get a broken nose, then it might hurt somebody.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't see how a rivalry like this would be a bad thing. And I think it's great. And I definitely don't think we're going to see the end of it. I mean,
Yeah.
especially in NASCAR, man, people have long memories. And now he may have an idea where he's like, you know what? He's in the playoffs. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to wait till next year.
No.
Or he'll take the true way of an alpha male. And I'll say that because a lot of those guys want to try to be alpha males. They won't say it because, it'll feel weird coming out of it because if you have to remind someone you're an alpha male, you're not really an alpha male. So they're going to take that approach and like, you know what? I'm going to wreck that guy's chances of winning because mentally, I may have wrecked myself, but you know what? I allowed him to wreck me. So therefore, indirectly, it's his fault. So I'm going to take it out on him. So I just kind of went a little long there, but you know what? Hey, why not? All that to say, why not?
Yeah.
Why not? Go ram him into the wall. I mean, shoot. I mean, I'll get put together. We send that little lady with the cart out, go round one in the pit area. I'm down for that. I feel like that'd be as entertaining as the race. Man. To be honest with you, I feel like that would attract a lot of people. I mean, tell me, if that were to happen, would you not flip the channel or whatever you're watching to watch that?
I would. Look, so my dad's an avid NASCAR fan, has been for a very long time.
Pissed your dad off.
So look, so and plus Chase Elliott's a Georgia guy, so like we have a lot of respect for him down here in Georgia because of things he's done in Georgia. But I will say it's already made NASCAR a little bit more intriguing because right now when you go. Like for me, when I watch NASCAR on Sundays, it's just kind of boring. But without those rivalries, it's really just kind of bland. It is, and that's something that NASCAR needs right now, and that's why it's brought so much attention to the sport right now. Is because hey, this rivalry's happening, and you want to see what happens in the next race, and especially when everything's on the line for Chase Elliott now, and nothing to lose for Kevin Harvick. Kevin Harvick's going to go out there and try to turn his butt. I mean, he's going to do everything he can just to make sure that dude does not win another championship or doesn't win his back-to-back championship. So it'll be interesting to watch. All right, real quick. I mean, we got like a couple of minutes left. Jon Gruden gets fired. Agree, or technically he steps down. Do you agree, disagree? If he should have been fired, yes or no? I mean, if
I think it was right decision to resign. Just kind of with everything that was going on in those emails, it's not good stuff, man. It's stuff that you just can't have a head coach and leader of an organization be doing.
Right.
I found this weird. Someone talked about how him and general manager Mike Mayock, Gruden had 51% of the say. Mayock had 49%. I was like, that's super weird, but okay. And so you have that guy leading and making decisions to organization. I mean, would you want to play for a coach that says like that? Derek Carr mentioned how he loves the guy, but he also kind of went, you can't have someone saying that. You can't have you have these other guys that are on your team are exactly what he was talking about and what was referring to. So, especially when you had Carl Nassib, the guy that came out as first openly gay player in the NFL to play in the regular season game, be a starter actually.
Yeah.
And so, and you got homophobic stuff that he's saying about him. So again, it's probably the right thing for Jon Gruden to step down at this point. It's not a good look. I don't know. I think it was the right decision ultimately. And it's a messy situation. So, but I think the Raiders will do good in finding a new head coach. It is a tough situation though to find themselves. I mean, especially since they were off to a really good start before things kind of tapered off the last 2 weeks. But
absolutely.
I think it was the right decision for him to step down.
Yeah, I agree. And then last but not least, the USA men's soccer team picked up a huge win over the Costa Rica. And
you want to say that so bad, didn't you?
Yes, Costa Rica. And now all they have left is Mexico on November the 12th. So
there's games after that to kind of make sure they ensure qualifying.
Yeah,
that their next game against Mexico, man, it's
going to be a big one.
It's at home too, right?
Yes, it is. So it's going to be huge for the U.S. men's national team to continue their advancement to the World Cup.
Yeah, and hopefully we kind of avoid what happened in 2018, man. Because that game against Trinidad and Tobago still haunts a lot of American fans. So
absolutely.
And what's surprising is how good Canada's look. They drew the United States. They drew Mexico. They sit currently. They sit third in the table. Would be the final team guaranteed to go into the World Cup for 2022 in Qatar. So Alphonso Davies and company, they're building something up there north of the border. So I like them, and I think I like their chance because I Costa Rica, as one of my friends refer to them as Park the Bus Rica.
Yeah,
I don't know, but they don't look the same as what they looked in years past. I don't think they have a guaranteed spot at all. Panama, who just took the United States down at home, they're good at home, but when they step away, I mean, they went and played Canada in Canada and lost 4-1 last night. So I'm telling you, when the U.S. plays them here and whenever they play them in the next month or two, they're going to beat them. They're going to beat them at home. It's going to be much different than when it was on the road. So I think it looks good for the United States right now. They're only 3 points clear of being in that playoff position. I believe they would face someone on the other side of the world if they were faced with. So it'll be interesting. And it's a good start, especially when they fell behind 1-0 so fast within the first minute of the game. But Dest had that strike. I'm drawing blank on the one who got the second goal, but it was big. Dest.
Are you talking? Yeah, I think so.
But yeah, anyway, either way, it was huge for the United States to get those 3 points, keep up with Mexico, because if you'd like to try to finish in that first spot, because you're probably going to get a more favorable matchup in the World Cup if you finish in that top spot, and they're more than capable of doing it. They just got to take care of business against these little teams, like they did against Jamaica. When you had a chance against Canada, man, that result right there when they drew and they gave up an equalizer in like the 50-something minute.
Yeah,
that was tough. It was good result for Canada to come away with a point in the United States. So it will be interesting whenever they go up to Canada here in the next couple months or so.
Yeah.
But overall, U.S. is in a decent position right now. They're sitting second, 11 points, 1 point ahead of Canada, 3 points ahead of Panama for that fourth spot. So that's the spot you really want to avoid. So things look good for the United States. They're gambling a little bit with kind of the players that they're playing right now. A lot of young guys. They didn't have Pulisic from Chelsea because Premier League, people don't know, isn't releasing players that are going to play at red flag COVID spots. And unfortunately, Panama was one of those. So they didn't release Pulisic for this one. So, and hopefully we'll have him against Mexico. We should. So we shall see. So it'll be interesting. This team looks good. And the fact they're able to kind of get through some adversity last night and we're still able to win 2-1 is pretty impressive.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. That is all the time that we have for today. Make sure to go. Yeah, that's it. That's all the time. Yeah, I know. So make sure to go follow us on all of our social media platforms. I have to say it for the people in podcast land. If you're in podcast land, watch the live stream. That way I don't have to keep repeating myself. Facebook at Sideline Sports Show. Instagram at Sideline Sports Show. You can go on YouTube, Sideline Sports Show. And then on Twitter at Sideline SB Show. And that will do it for today's episode. Tim, it's always fun, always an honor. Next week, come catch us for more picks of the week. We'll talk a little bit more about the NFL. We'll talk maybe some MLS action that's about to happen with the playoffs, about to ramp up. Who knows?
LCS will be in full swing, man.
Yeah, exactly. So it will be absolutely insane. You want to make sure you tune in next week for the show. Tim, as always, have a fantastic week. We will see all of you guys next Thursday at 6:15.